Hello and welcome to Presence Practice with Poonam and Parker. Hey Poonam,
Hey, Parker.
let me fix my screen so I can see you. There you are. Hello. So today we're shooting the second video in the new place, in a new state, a new city, and um, glad to see everybody here and glad to see you, Poonam. We're going to do this video on story making because it is seductive, right? It seems to be a thread that moves through lots of patterns, which is the story that we attach to facts of a situation. And then it gets mired up where we can't even see the facts anymore. So maybe it would be good to do an exercise in separating what the fact and the story is. Does that sound like a good idea?
I think that's a good idea. Yes.
Okay. So would you like me to tell a story and then you break it up?
Let's see if I can. Okay.
Okay. Or I'll do it myself. I'm just going to fake a story here for the sake of I'll do a real story. So today I was telling you about the 30-minute phone call to AT&T about my about getting additional services that turned into a 4-hour ordeal that it's not solved. So I'm telling a story now. Okay. And these people, everybody apologized and everybody was saying please and thank you, but I kept getting dropped on phone calls and no one would solve the very direct question that I was answering them. And what kind of people do that? How did this business even get so big with these poor customer service and nobody cares? It's a big uncaring company, and I'm gonna move my business elsewhere. I'm taking it elsewhere. That's what competition in a free market is about. All right, I'm done. Okay, so Poonam.
The fact of the situation is that you need them to turn up service, and that's it.
The fact of the situation is that I want them to, well, I don't want anything from it. The fact of the situation is that I went to add services. I spent 4 hours and there are no services now. And there is a decision at some point to be made about what will I do or not do.
And that's
in
it.
This situation. And that's it, yeah, and that's it. So it could be anything, but sometimes it's very seductive, or it's an old conditioned voice, and you'll notice that it'll have like a familiar theme of either being a victim of something or the martyr of someone done dirty wrong by the world or people or women or men or or bosses. It just becomes like it's the duality. We create this duality and make these people the other and us something else. And the story making is just, it could be because it weaves its way through so many patterns, it can just show up as anything outside of the facts of the situation. So the story making could be an old condition. Look at this situation. You need to now eat the whole chocolate cake to feel better about this. But is that loving? Does that really love our true self when we are servicing it's sort of like an immature voice? So that's how I see it in myself. If I see or sense like a voice that's immature, I know that it's not the truest thing. It doesn't feel good either. So I know that voice isn't very true. So if it's a story, you can use Byron Katie's practice of inquiry is it true? And I would do the work and take that apart. If it was a particularly seductive story that it was such an important part of who we think we are, and we just don't want to let it go, or it's some current event that's happening, and it lights the fuse behind a bigger ego pattern that has the same energetic field, right, as you'll notice that the impulse, how we feel inside, influences the impulse of the next, influences our thoughts, and then the same energetic field will be taken over, and it's going to be the same quality of story making. Or it could be story making about how great we are and how perfect things are and how we have it much better than other people. Anything that encourages identification with something other than our I amness. And then you're a scientist. And we make space to see it when it's happening. Sometimes people will move past the facts and into the story of a situation when they sit on the mat with me, and it's you know, they can have it, they can keep that story going if they like, or they can just drop it. And when we're ready, we drop it. And when we're not ready, we just let it go. And if you're a listener of story makers, you can just let it pass right through you. It's not, it requires nothing from us but to remain present. And we may find ourselves walking away, but that doesn't require any additional thought. And the story maker also wants to know what it wants to absolutely know. It's all fixed on opinions oftentimes, right? Or it moves into opinions. And so if it's true or if it's a belief, can all be tweezed apart if you want to use Byron Katie's work. And there are others as well. So if you have a heavy story making mind that's not inspired in spirit towards the creative, then you could use Jack Kornfield's method of labeling, and that gives you space. You're going to need to drop the label soon, so we don't want to get attached to the label. But if we just see it, oh, story making, here's the story making mind. Oh, what are my perceptions in this present moment? Has this shown up in my body yet? Did I catch it too late? Where is it at? Put our attention there, adding no story, just our complete focus, no effort, just focus, and we can breathe through it. If you don't know, there are breathing and meditation videos on this channel, playlist of them, and you can select one of those and help you create some space between the thoughts and the present moment. One other thing is to sit in the stillness is all the time. It's always there. You can sense it when someone's talking, when there's noise outside, when our hands are moving and doing a task. And imagine how much space we could experience if we didn't sit and analyze and think and make something out of something that we couldn't possibly know the end in. Some story making is just seeking some kind of security, something stable to stand on, right? Some knowing, right? Some seeing around the corner, but we can't know. We can just do whatever this present moment, and we can loosely hang on to a goal somewhere and then be quiet. Story making about our specialness. We can be quiet about how we're not good enough. Quiet. About a person or people. Pinham was just saying in another video about how we don't enter the same river twice, Heraclitus. We don't enter the same river twice. And that's a beautiful, it's like, so, you know, our eyes are the eyes of God. Whatever we're seeing at this moment will not be recreated. It's like art. It changes every moment. Even talking on this video, the light is changing in this room, so it's never the same moment. And let's show up for it. It's not knowing. It infuses joy into life. So the antidote, touching silence at any time, do some of our breath work videos. And if you have any questions, because this is sort of a broad topic, but the medicine is the same. Just seeing, noticing. There could be another story attached to the noticing, but we just want to notice, right? Just notice when it's happening. Put our attention where the reactivity is in our body, and then stay with it, and just breathe with it. And if you have a story and you're not ready to let go of it, then don't let go of it. That's where you're at. We can't ask, do we walk up to little blossoms on rose bushes and say, why aren't you open? Why aren't you a rose open? Everyone do as they do. And when you're ready, you can drop it. Yeah. Hey, Poonam.
I feel one part of the story making is Eckhart in School of Awakening. He dedicated a module to the teacher called suffering, right? And in that module, he talks about how the complaining mind is so seductive to the ego. The ego strengthens itself through the complaining mind. So every story, and the example about story making, he says his very popular example in every one of his talks is he or she betrayed me, right? And he said the fact of the situation is he or she got up and left. The betrayal is our story that we are adding on to the facts of the situation. So from presence, see what. So I feel one part of the story making is that part, that are we strengthening our ego through using the complaining mind? And I feel that is the hook of the thought process, right? Mind energy going is like we can repeatedly keep thinking about the story, right? Oh, he left me and he should never have left me, and he was so mean to me. He would never ever take out the trash. He would never ever take care of my children. He would never ever clean. How many things can we add on to once the hook starts, right? It just balloons into a huge story, and day after day, year after year, and can be 20 years later or 30 years later, it's the same story that we're repeating in our mind. But what we don't realize is in that moment, what was our point of attraction? Now, going back to the whole karmic law, and whenever we discuss point of attraction, what was in me that was unloving that separated him or her? Like if I were a guy, and my partner was a girl, what was in me? I have to look at the point of attraction, right? I attracted that betrayal. What was the limiting belief that I was thinking at that moment of time? Maybe I was thinking that people should clean their homes. Like if a person lives with me, that person has to clean their home, or they have to take out the trash. And then all those judgments that we had about that human being was fine. they were okay. It was all our judgments that ballooned and made them into such a huge enemy that we said, okay, I don't want you.
Yeah.
Right? They were fine as a human being. If you drop all the judgments and all the story making, they were just a human being. The same expression of consciousness that we are is in that human being. And instead of seeing that, we just made it into a story. And how many of these stories do we keep up throughout the day, right? And that's why Byron Katie's The Work at thework.com helps a lot in analyzing this limiting
Yeah.
belief that, hey, is it true? Is it really true? Who would I be without that thought? And then the turnaround. He betrayed me? No, I betrayed me. Or I betrayed him by not loving him.
Yes. Yes. I want to say something else, because the story making is more than just the complaining mind. The story making could be anything where we tell a story to enhance our identity, right? Or to diminish our identity is what we've been talking about. But I'm talking about, creating these stories about how we're perceived. I wish everyone would just get out of everybody else's business. That would be a wonderful thing to see, right? It doesn't matter. Stories about how other people see us, stories about what we have or we don't have, or how special we are, or important we are, or how it's all separation. It's all the same basket. So whether we're trying to enhance our identity or we're being diminished, right? It's all an identification with things that in the end they don't really matter, right? But they teach us a lot. You can see the sunset is coming through the window, and it's
Changing the light.
It is keeps changing the light. I've kind of moved around, but I wanted to say thank you for bringing that up. It's so frequent that I hear people that are on the path that are in relationships, and that's their spiritual teacher. As how could it be otherwise as we're waking up, right? So I think we'll see more and more relationships that are reflecting a new evolved kind of love, that they don't consider themselves special. I mean, truly don't, right? There's such freedom. I can sense like there's a freedom and a beauty and just an authentic care and lightness. So wonderful, wonderful world that would be to see more of, huh?
More
And
tolerance.
yeah, kinder to each other. Let's be gentle. Yes, yes.
Compassion. Thank you.
Thank
Amazing
you,
topic. I
yeah,
appreciate
it
it.
was.